going on? What's going on, my beautiful people? Welcome to my live session today. Fearful, avoiding breadcrumbs, timeline, and moving on. We're going to try to cover all the bases from A to Z today. I know it's been a while since I've done a live session, but if you guys are coming in here, drop a like, get this feed boosted so we can get this conversation going. If this is on replay, I will try to clip out this first piece and get you guys to uncut piece of content today. What's going on, my beautiful people? Hey, Faith. So, I got some questions to answer today. What sparked this conversation? This conversation was sparked. Let me know if you can hear me, because I know sometimes this thing likes to act weird. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Faith, you're in here first. Give me a thumbs up. What sparked this conversation? Yay. All right, she can hear me. What sparked this conversation was questions on my channel. And in particular, there was a guy that asked a question about fearful avoidance, about the timeline on when they're going to be feeling their feelings again and when to reach out. So he got a little annoyed because I'm not sure what video he was referencing, but I had a video where I talked about the no contact timeline of being 3 to 6 weeks, I think he said. And in the video that I posted, I guess more recently, which was probably 2024, it's interesting about YouTube. It's like we do evolve, like we learn things, we have different scenarios that's played out over our coaching career that kind of like had us adjust to what the new time frames look like. And I'm kind of like, well, I'm feeling on the defensive here because we are supposed to evolve and like adjust our information. Back when certain things were released, they didn't know that, for example, cars and seatbelts, they didn't know that you should have a seatbelt in the car before they realized just how dangerous it was. Not to say that this is like a life or death situation, but it can be for this person apparently because they got a little flustered about my time frame changing from 2 to 3 weeks. And there's so many nuances when it comes to attachment styles about how each of them show up. You got to be very I get it. You got to be very precise about when to, I guess, strike. But this is also something I want to say. If this person's watching this and you're the one that commented and you know you are, I don't even think this is going to help you. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I don't think your intentions are pure. I don't think that you're trying to like give them the opportunity to feel their feelings again. I think this is more like a game for you, more like a strategy. And unfortunately, when it comes to like human beings and emotional health, mental health, or mental wellness, um, you shouldn't look at it as like a game. I call it the self-discovery rule because during that time when you're not in contact with them, you should be trying to figure out how you can regulate, how you can not show up the same way again in that relationship. So 2 to 3 weeks, if you are in a breakup with a fearful avoidant, that is the true time frame of when someone is going to show back up. So you can have someone that's fearful, avoidant, leaning anxious, which can really shorten that time frame. But if they are someone that's fearful, leaning avoidant, it can take them about 3 to 6 weeks for them to start to feel like they want to give you another chance and to show up again. And I know this content is like all over the place. Many people talk about these same topics. Many people talk about the same topic, and I've just been seeing channels just blow up like crazy, which is great. Like if it's for the right intentions and if it's pure, I totally support it because, first off, the economy we're in right now, not everyone has money to be spending on coaching sessions, and also you have Chat GPT or AI that are also very helpful at helping you with time frames and understanding things because it just scours the internet. But You want to make sure that wherever you're getting your information from, it's accurate and it's someone that you challenge. Like I like that this person challenged me because it gave me an opportunity to clarify what I was saying. Because usually when we put these videos out there, especially the long form videos, and we're not having one-on-one dialogues with people like Faith and like this person that just asked this question, it can be very generic. Everyone's situation is different. Everyone um, relationship is different, right? There's no one size fits all. And let's not forget, when it comes to attachment style, it is theory, right? Let's not forget about it's called attachment style theory. Like any theory, like in nature, it should work. In nature, it should be the way that it is, but it's not law, right? So, what does it mean when someone you dated casually comes back a month after pushing you away, then leaves after a week for 10 days? Repeated 3 times. Okay, so this does seem like some type of avoidant. It also can look like someone that's playing hopscotch with partners. I mean, you want to make sure first that there's no one else involved. And I see that being one of the biggest things that can break the time frame if they're feeling like, oh, I got another option. Like, wait a minute, that option's not working. You want to make sure that that's off the table. And when you can, and if you know that it has something to do with their background or history and just kind of the way that they view relationships or the way that they attach, then you can start proceeding a little bit more cautiously and intentional. Hopefully that helped. So breadcrumbs, that can come across as breadcrumby as well. That can come across as breadcrumby when they are coming and going. I guess it depends on how deep your relationship goes when they come back. I guess you know what I miss. I miss having people come on the show and come on the live sessions and we talk one on one to give people some type of insight on a little bit deeper than what these texts or what these threads are showing because there's so many nuances to your story and to what people questions that people have that I wish I can get back to that. I mean, give me a thumbs up if you feel like that's something that would be useful for you, or if you have the bravery to come on and talk to me one on one on a live session. No, I'm all for it. Hi, coach. I'm avoidant. Pushing away gets strongest when attachment starts feeling real. I just was actually coaching someone that I've kind of helped her throughout this scenario that she has going on. Um, and she thought it was funny because it was like to a T. This person identified as being more fearful avoidant and has major trust wounds. So whenever she came on a little bit too hard or heavy, he tend to back up. Like he'd have all these plans, like let's do this, let's do that. But the instant that she says, "Okay, well let's do this," he's like, let me think about it. Let me give myself some time." And I was like, you know what it kind of looks like? You ever play Super Mario Brothers? And on that night level, when a ghost starts following you and it's chasing after you, but then you turn around and you see the ghost and you shine your light on it, it freezes, and then you turn away and then the ghost starts following you again. You kind of have to view avoidance, especially fearful avoidance, in that manner. Uh, Dismissive avoidance, I would say that ghost is probably more dismissive avoidant, but it has those are the dismissive avoidance that have anxious tendencies that can show up as fearful avoidance, right? I know it's all like kind of confusing, but I got this down to a science since I've been studying it for so long. That would be a fearful avoidance, like see me, hear me, understand me. You turn around and it freezes. Like, wait, I'm actually being seen, and then you turn away again, and it wants to chase after you. I've encountered a parent in the mall, and it's one of those little play areas. Kid falls down, hurts himself. He's crying, and then his mom comes and try to consult him and console him, and he's like, "No, no, get away from me, don't touch." And then she's like, "All right," and then as soon as she turns away to go. He's like, "No, come back." Like he didn't really want to be left, but I was like, man, is this like a little disorganized attachment? in development here. It was kind of interesting. What if FA, leaning anxious, agrees like they feel like they may not be enough for me, especially when they have intentions for marriage? Thank you. Okay, so who has intentions for marriage? They have intentions for marriage. They want to be married, is what I'm saying. What I'm seeing here is they want to be married, but they feel like they won't be enough for you, so they push you away, or they're breaking it out. Leaning anxious. So if it's an FA leaning anxious, they already don't trust their decision making. Uh, they tend to have, I guess, for lack of better words, like lower self esteem when it comes to being able to show up for someone. And I guess it all depends on how that anxiousness is manifesting. Like, are they hyper vigilant? Are they like constantly uh, self deprecating? Just let me know what that looks like. They text every day, but we haven't seen each other in 2 months. Well, this kind of sounds like a pen pal. And I don't do pen pals. I don't suggest doing pen pals. The minute that they broke it off once, or I guess twice, if they're FA, I would say you need to try to get them back in person as quickly as possible just to see what their level of intentions are. Because they also could be dating around. Like I won't lie to you about that one. They could be dating around and seeing other people. He never broke it off. Okay. Huh. I'd be curious to know about his background. Like what was his relationship history? Or what did he tell you about his relationship history? Fearful avoidance tend to, especially someone leaning anxious, they tend to be more sharers than someone who's a dismissive avoidant. He's a workaholic. Uh-huh. That sounds about right. What I would do is continue to, like I said, shine the light on him, kind of like the Mario analogy. And he had a bad divorce. So he has a trust wound. And with any more questions, because I don't want to turn this into like a single person conversation. Unless you want to come on the live and we can talk live, we can I can answer your questions in that way. But for the entertainment of the people who are here and are trying to get their questions answered. Um, who's got another question? Weaponized intimacy. All right, I have to answer that one because that is an interesting one. Oof. I know they say that attachment styles are formed in childhood, which is true, but it's also the relationships that can hurt them also. It's also the things that they've been through. And I don't think we put enough attention on that because when you go to the theory part of it, it always goes back to childhood. But you can have someone that's secure that can be skewing another attachment or insecure attachment, based on what they've been through. Is there hope? Is there any hope if you broke an FA's trust? Well, I'm not going to talk in absolutes, but I have seen people regain the trust of someone who was a fearful avoidant. Absolutely. But it takes time. Um, they may have moments of, you know, they may have triggered moments that you'll have to consistently work through and reassure them that this isn't the case. But I guess it also depends on how you broke their trust. If it was something that was uh, betrayal, as far as like stepping out, I mean, honestly, I see them being the ones that will kind of do tit for tat and say, you know what, if you're going to do that, I'm going to do that too. But if it was like, I don't know, I guess I would need to know what the trust wound did you trigger. So moving on. Okay, breadcrumbs. So breadcrumbs from FA. I know it looks very, for lack of a better word, toxic, the way that they start showing up, but usually it's like these moments of vulnerability that just kind of just creeps in. These intrusive thoughts starts to take control and take the driver's seat, and then they immediately regret what they said or what they've done. For example, I know my wife doesn't like when I use like texting examples as much or online examples because she's not a big social media person. I'm like, this is just kind of the way that people communicate these days. So they might post something that's passive aggressive, or you might see them go kind of manic on their stories, and then they go silent for a long time because they're usually like regretting it. And you see those as breadcrumbs because you know that they're specifically talking about you. Like it may be something that's like way too coincidental and hits close to home for you. So they'll post that and then they'll immediately regret it. And you'll start to see that they go silent for a while. And I tell people don't take those breadcrumbs personal. This is just how they work through things. This is how they're grieving throughout that time of pain. Like even if they're the one that broke up with you, they're still questioning themselves. They're still questioning if they're why they can't get things right and why they continue to like hurt people. Since it was casual, it was only exclusive and didn't honor that. And I didn't honor that. Meaning it was something that was supposed to be a casual connection with the FA, and you, I guess, caught feelings and wanted to turn it into something a little bit deeper. This is a really difficult one because I've coached many people that are in like open relationships, and they're reaching out to me. I'm like, wait a minute, if you're in an open relationship, that means that there are rules that has to be followed, and it's always going to be someone that doesn't follow those rules anymore. There's always going to be someone that dives a little bit deeper or wants a deeper connection or wants a commitment eventually, and for whatever reason that would be, um, I don't see those relationships lasting very long. I mean, it can, like I said, I don't want to talk in absolutes, but there's always someone that gets a little bit more attached than the other person. And I'm guessing that you broke this person's trust because you wanted something deeper. I don't know, you can correct me. You wanted a an exclusive relationship maybe? What's going on, my beautiful people? You guys are coming in here. Thank you for joining me. Give me a question. Give me the question. I'll try to answer it right here live. It's hard to answer the questions on the comment section because sometimes those questions are like so old, like answering it wouldn't even make sense. And then I want to make sure that it comes out exactly the way that I want it to come off. I'm doing my or finishing up my book right now, and I'm going to be doing an audio version. And I think the audio version is imperative if you're an author because you want it to be read exactly the way that you want it to be read. I wanted security, but she wanted investment. And it seemed like she was attached, but then she would pull away randomly. Hmm, that sounds like, huh. Yeah, that's definitely inconsistent, and that would be an FA for sure. Hmm. I wonder if there was anything in those calls that you were having with her that may have inadvertently triggered her and caused her to go more into her avoidance side. Hmm. I mean, I, I talk about this a lot. Slept over 3 times, same week, then the next, it's like I didn't exist. I don't diagnose or I don't get into that. I try not to get too deep into that, but um, I mean, you have to rule out all cluster B options too, because someone who can be bipolar can be hot and heavy and then off, can be on and off, or I guess they call it manic depression or something. They can be off. They could be hot and like kind of manic for you, and then pull away into this like deep depression. And once again, this is all this is all theory and law, and it's all theory and all my opinion. But yeah, that's what I see happening. This ever so often this mic goes off. I have no clue how to stop it. So if you ever see me go, it's because my mic's acting ridiculous. Confusing, I know how do you think I feel? Yeah, for sure. Try coaching this type of behavior. Try helping people navigate this. You never know what's going to trigger someone like that. You know, it is really helpful though if you come to the relationship and you already have an understanding about yourself, and you can say, hey, just so you know, I'm more anxious, or I'm more fearful, avoidant. Then it's helpful for you because then you like have the blueprint on how to navigate that relationship. This is why I like the book Wired for Love by Stan Tatkin, and I talk about this book till I'm blue in the face or until I find another book that's better. He talks about having an owner's manual of your partner, this thing called a couple bubble, where when you're in that relationship, you know exactly said everything that comes from the store or you buy from the store has an owner's manual. And it should be like that in your relationships too. If something was to trigger them or something was to make them feel unsafe, you know what page to turn to, you know what switch to push, what to unplug to get it functioning again. And unfortunately, so many of us go into relationships and we don't really know ourselves, that it's impossible for someone else to know you. Sometimes you almost help people heal when they don't even know that they needed to be healed to begin with. Like, you have deeper insight about that person than they have about themselves. And those are interesting moments when you can tell someone about themselves and they don't take it personally. They actually like appreciate that you observed that about them. They're like, wow, I never even you right. I do that, don't I? Like, yeah. So this could be going back to this question, this could be a moment where she doesn't even know she's pulling away. She doesn't even know that she's doing this. This could be something that's very subconscious. Or like if like the other person said, if this person's a workaholic, they kind of just fall back into that work mode. They don't even think twice about, how am I showing up in my relationship? Or am I making this person feel safe in this relationship? I'm definitely anxious and know this relationship isn't right, but I'm kind of hooked because of the lust, to be honest. It's the intensity of the lust but the lows hit hard. So I'm gonna tell you something that I tell a lot of my clients. The relationships that's going to end up the healthiest are the ones that are probably going to feel the most boring, and you're going to confuse that consistency with boring. And this probably has come from a lot of other people too, but that's just my law. Like, if you come from relationships where you have all these emotional highs and lows, and I kind of like call it like, uh, if you're used to eating something with hot sauce, the instant that you try to eat it without it, it's going to be bland. It's going to be like, it's healthier for you, right? I guess you could, whatever you feel about eating too much hot sauce or having food with too much seasoning, it'll be healthier, but at the same time, it may not be as, uh, I guess, stimulating for the taste buds. And that takes some retraining. That takes some recalibrating. This is what I'm gonna be talking about in my book that's coming out too. Recalibrating your taste buds. And I don't know how well it'll work, but you know, if you're a really coachable person, and if you just get to the point where you're like, I'm just sick and tired of things turning out the way that they've been turning out over the years, I think it'll help you. And anxiousness, this was something that I was struggling with for a while, and I started to realize I was more fearful of it too because I had this part of me that's just like, no, get away from me, you know, which isn't healthy. I was and so speaking to your anxiousness, just know that there's going to be um, times when you're going to feel really secure. And those secure moments are usually when you have like a form of control of your situation. You feel like, I call it a false sense of secureness. As long as everything are aligned and right, then those relationships are going to feel like, oh yeah, this is the one I should be in. But it's when you lose control, it's like when they don't text you back in the right amount of time, or you don't hear from for a couple days. That's when you're gonna be tested about just how secure you are. If a person, someone says, that's my better half, I'm like, it really shouldn't be that way, because what happens when that better half leaves, that security that you feel like you had, you're gonna realize it wasn't secure at all. I think relationships take two whole people joining each other's lives. It's not one. It's no such thing as a better half. I don't think it's a healthy thing if you refer to someone as your better half or whatever. I could be wrong. It could be just the way I see things, my philosophy. But let me know what you think. Comment in the comment section if you're getting value. If you have any questions that you want to be answered. How long you've been watching the channel. I know it's been a drought here on this channel, but I got other channels I'm working on, so that's been fun. This is why I like the one-on-one conversations where I can bring someone into the studio and we have a conversation. We have like a coaching session. I haven't done that since like 2023. I think 2023. The intensity of the lust is amazing, but then I withdraw to recharge alone. I don't seek others. Um, I'm the DA or FA. I've lost relationships during my recharge. It's devastating. As long as you can, you'd be the perfect person to talk to about this and kind of help through this, because as long as you're communicating during those times of recharge, I don't think it's a bad idea for you to do that. I think I said on a couple videos, I'm almost certain that if you don't understand the boundaries that someone that's a dismissive of what it has, if you don't give them that space, they're just going to take that space and you're going to be confused. And there's little things for FAs, I guess that would be the only thing I would say is their biggest flaw is they don't give people signs and warnings about it. They kind of just, phew. But a dismissive, it's very predictable. It's usually after you guys have had this intense moment. It's when times where you have said something vulnerable or you've like said something that, happened to you in the past, and the DA like pulls away and they don't text for half a day, and then they don't text for a day. And that's very predictable. And that's when I tell my clients, like, look, that was a lot for them. Yeah, exactly. Felt suffocated. That was a lot for them. That was a lot for them to share. Do not take this pullback personal, and don't panic, because if you panic, it's just going to make them withdraw even further. But I think if you can learn to let them know, like, hey, last night I enjoyed our time, this weekend I enjoyed our conversations, but I need some time to like process this. I need some time to let these interactions digest. Then I'm okay with you doing that. But if it's just like, you might be hurting a lot of people. And you also are hurting yourself. Like you said, you're devastated because you knew that that wasn't the healthy way to go about doing it. But unfortunately, your subconscious mind is so much more powerful, and it just runs on autopilot. It's your operating system. Oh, so exactly. They don't communicate. I communicate normally, then I get lashed out on and called draining, because it's true. For someone who's more avoidant, it is draining to talk about emotions, to process, to share everything that they have going on with them internally. That is exhausting. That's like if you take someone to the gym and you've been lifting for 10 years and they've been lifting for 10 hours, and you try to put them on the same exercise regimen that you have, they will get burned out and get exhausted fast. So for a lot of couples that I work with, it's like a slow build up to what they can physically do, emotionally do, compared to what they've done in the past, or what helping them strengthen their bandwidth or widen their bandwidth for those type of interactions and communications. This is why when someone moves in, I have a video about this. Don't move in. This old video. Don't move in with an avoidant. I've seen those relationships break down the fastest because you go from like casually dating or casually having this retreat to go back to, and then seeing that person again, to not having anywhere to go, you know, and having to constantly be on. That's what I heard a lot of dismissals say. They feel like they have to be on, and have to be like performing and be emotionally present. So it gets to the point where it gets exhausting because they have no like recharge time or no retreat. So doesn't even apologize. That would cause for taking accountability. I respond, but I don't have full conversations for a week. Okay. I withdrew to consider marriage in 2022. My daughter seduced him and lived with. Whoa, that's a trauma story there. 2022. So it's been 4 years. Have you gotten into another relationship since, or have you tried to date someone since? Is it worth trying to even make it work long term? What they want? Okay, let me read this. Is it worth even trying to make it work if long term isn't what they want at the moment? No, it's not. Like they explicitly say they want to be single, but want me to show up like a boyfriend. You ever see that? You ever see that meme? Obama meme? Make that make sense? No, no, that's not what we're doing. 'Cause then you're signing a covert contract. The instant you say no, this isn't what I want, and you do what they are having you sign on the dotted line for, that's the dance that's going to be running from here on out. So, Raisin Zane said, we don't want to be responsible for anyone's when I reject. So Raisin Zane says, we don't want to be responsible for anyone's feelings. We took care of ourselves since birth. That's a since birth. You remember that? That's a long time. That's normal for us DAs. Yes, I've had two relationships since the marriage proposal. When I reject their quick marriage proposals, they put up walls. So are you like attracting anxious men that are wanting to get married right away? What's in the secret sauce there? Because there are a lot of women that I coach that can't get a marriage proposal. So which would further kind of validate what I feel. I was just talking to a client like 2 days ago, and he was like, I don't really understand it. I'm like, I don't have a whole lot of people reaching out to me trying to get an anxious person back. Usually, when people reach out to me, they're trying to get someone that's more avoidant back, which means that you may be inadvertently doing the right things by not being too overwhelming or too anxious, and it's causing them to want to pursue you more. I don't know if you're creating the anxious men or if you're just, I guess, attracting them. That would be the question. Marriage material. Married 32 years, been widowed. Okay. All right, guys, I'm going to end this live. Good talk. Should do this more often. Drop in the chat. What's your favorite tea? This is pomegranate. I didn't even realize I was grabbing it. Service is my love language. Yeah, I talked about the love languages of the different attachment styles in some older videos. And acts of service is one of a dismissive avoidance love language, if not one of the top. It's because you've been deprived of that for a long time. It almost feels foreign giving up that control. Because so this is how I know when someone that's more avoidant is starting to warm up to you. They start to let you do things for them. But the instant that they say, you know what, this isn't working out, you can't pick me up from the airport, you can't fill my car with gas, you won't let them do anything. You start taking your own garbage out because you're like, I'm just going to go back into this independent mode again. All right, guys. See y'all later. Always remember when you go and be loved, you'll never have to find it. God bless, guys.